Hey Jake, how's it going? Welcome.
What's going on? How are you?
Doing good. Last AMA to cap off the day. We got Texas blockchain in the house. Jake, do you want to give our community a quick background of yourself, what you're currently studying, what got you interested into Web3, and then how you plan on bridging your studies with the career aspirations in this industry?
Yeah, love it, love it. And I think just Julian is also requesting to be a speaker. I'm not sure if you have the ability to accept him there
Yep.
as
Yeah, I
well.
brought him up.
But sure. So, nice to chat with you guys. My name is Jake. I am a student at UT Austin right now. I'm a sophomore studying MIS, which is Management Information Systems, and I am the president of Texas Blockchain. And aside from that, outside of school and Texas Blockchain, I'm also the founder of Spawn, a nationwide Web3 student community. And yeah, I guess to tackle your first question, which is how I got into Web3, originally I put some money into crypto like summer of 2020 ish. And nothing really happened beyond that. Put some I had like $50 in Ethereum, maybe $100 in Bitcoin. Check back a couple months later and increased a lot. So I was kind of curious, kind of learned a little bit about it then. In high school, I was always on like the trading front, but didn't really do anything beyond that. And really just got super lucky, super fortunate when I came here to UT. Met a pretty much random person over Facebook, met Julian, who is now my roommate last year and this year over Facebook. He starts telling me, hey, you got to come to this Texas blockchain thing. So start coming to Texas blockchain, start learning more about it. So this is about August of 21, I guess. Yeah, August of 21. Dive deeper into Texas blockchain, start actually learning about the technology. And from there, it's been quite the journey. So I think that covers my story a little bit.
Julian, you want to hop in here?
Yeah, sure. I guess first thing is thank you so much for having us on. What you guys are doing within the space, really, just this general awareness, gaining it from also a student perspective is just really such a great initiative. So thank you for having us on here. I think kind of how I got into first who I am, I guess. Hi everyone, my name's Julian Sachs. I'm the vice president at Texas Blockchain. I'm also a sophomore. I'm studying economics currently. And at UT Austin. And I guess to answer the question of kind of how I got into blockchain and this whole space, I'm originally from South Africa, and how South Africa works is from January through to November. You have your school year, but for people coming to America or in places overseas, you start in August. So there's a lot of time there, like 9 months, where a lot of people start venturing out into different spheres. I found blockchain. I visited America, and I through talks, through connections I had, found upon blockchain. I then went to University of Cape Town for 3 months, and did a internship there on blockchain technology. Came to UT Austin, joined Texas Blockchain. And as Jake said, we just kind of got very hooked. August 2021, we started. I then went through the realms of head of finance, head of expansion, and now vice president. Yeah, and we work in awards, building a community that is really strong. We've kind of gone really far in our ways. And yeah, besides that, I'm the co-founder of Carbex. We're a platform that brings transparency to voluntary carbon markets, and we'll be launching soon our MVP. So exciting all around.
Indeed, exciting all around. And guys, tell me a bit about Texas blockchain. How long has the club been around for? How big are you guys? How do you facilitate yourselves? How do you educate the broader student base? Would love to hear all the details.
Awesome. Yeah, I can start it off, and Julian, you can cut me off
Sure.
whenever. So I believe Texas Blockchain was founded in 2017, late 2017, August or so. And it was actually founded by a group of dudes who are now the founders of a up-and-coming project, an up-and-coming protocol in the space, Quai, if anyone's heard of them. But they essentially founded it off the basis of like a community on campus was needed for people in the space. You know, that's one of the biggest things I think in Web3, just that when you have people around you who are supporting you, who explore the different possibilities with you, it's supportive and helps you. It's encouraging to explore with other people, I'll say. So it's founded in 2017. It did take a little bit of a dormant period during the winter. Got kind of picked back up, I believe, in 2021, spring of 2021. And then obviously fall of 2021 is when interest picked up in the market heavily. And from there, that's when Julie and I got involved, and that's when we kind of revamped the educational structure, and interest in the club has been pretty consistent since then. So that's my view on the history. I'll let Julian take it over after. But the way we kind of structure education right now is in 3 different facets. So we have our research and writing team, which focuses pretty much on the non-technical side of everything Web3, where students can get experience researching into different verticals, different niches of the space, write about their findings, write about what they're learning about. We have our labs division, which is for the developers in our club. It is for students to work together, work in teams, to work on projects essentially in the space on the engineering side of things. And then we have our incubator, which is meant for the startups. It's a classic incubator, I'll say, just geared towards students and also run by students. We have our weekly meetings every Wednesday night on campus, and it's been really great. We've had a really great turnout so far this year. I think we've been having 45-ish people at every single meeting, which is really incredible, just given the state of the market right now. And aside from that, we also do a lot of extracurricular events, I'll say, such as like hackathons and socials. But Julian, if you want to give your take on that.
Yeah, I think you kind of put it on the head, kind of our history and how it came around in 2017. I think kind of one thing I just would like to elaborate on that, we've seen, especially when we came in, Jake, we saw a lot of students, so much talent from CS, from the traditional routes, UTCS, Macombs, ECE, all these schools and all these great engineers that were used to these Web 2 developments, and kind of educating them and getting them to shift over to a Web 3 focus and put it on with the blockchain. I think we that was the main focus for us last year. We did that through hackathons, we did that through many social events, and now we're looking into more, hey, how do we provide value in the community? How do we build out cool projects that have utility? How do we have less lectures but more learning by doing? And with the introduction of research and writing, where anyone can come in, kind of develop their kind of idea and their niches into what they want to pursue, which fields. There's so many these days. On our labs for students that don't want to develop, want to gain the experience, but don't want to take the risk of a startup and all that comes with that. And so yeah, a lot doing and actively kind of integrating this. This is a structure that we think has longevity, and it's going to take years upon and hold those years.
Yeah, and I think we all believe this has longevity. It's why we're here. I want to talk a bit about the logistics of the club, right? So is there an application? Can anyone just come in and join? And then once people are in the club, what does it take to be part of that research and writing team, or that lab division, or that incubator? Give us a step by step.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways we could have kind of went about that. And if you go to a lot of traditional clubs on campus, maybe finance or engineering clubs, there is like a heavy application process. And I think they have the ability to do that because everyone knows what the kind of direct outcome of that will be. Or maybe people know what the technology is that they're going to be learning about, or what it is that they're going to be researching into. And I think they kind of have that privilege of, they have a huge, huge base that they can do these kind of applications. I think where we stand is, we don't want to potentially push people away with applications with all these strict requirements when they just want to come and learn about the space. I think if we were to go at them and say, you need to do this, this, and that, you need to show us the experience you have, and you need to do these applications, I think it would just push people away, and that's not what we think blockchain clubs should be like. Just with the rise, I guess, like the nascence of this technology. So there's no applications per se. what we do is keep a consistent attendance rate. So students that show up, they do have to consistently show up because we think that'll put them in a position to succeed. So that's our view on the attendance policy, or at least how I view it. Yeah.
I think that kind of goes towards our overall view as a club. But looking at each division, kind of looking at our incubator projects, these are projects that went through an application that were picked out. You're looking at labs, which projects, which developers are actually building out the projects. These are guys who have had past experience. So to become a member and to join and learn about blockchain, that's all for it. But projects we are building, the projects we are incubating are from a very chosen, selected carefully.
Okay, got it. And do you guys structure any courses that students can come and learn from, like Solidity or basic blockchain courses?
Yeah, so we did a lot of that last semester. We had, I think, twice a week. We had a finance class, we had an engineering class learning Solidity, and we would lecture and teach the students. But we taken the view this semester, learning by doing, building our projects. We're not there to teach Solidity. We taking the view, hey, we want to build our projects instead of lecture, like everyone else. We think students will learn better. It's more proactive. It's more providing more value. Yeah.
I also think, just to add on to that, a lot of educational material is available online. And at the end of the day, there are people more qualified than us to teach students the information that they need. Like, a lot of the coding classes and software development classes, students are either learning in school, or you can just go on Code Academy. You can go on these other online platforms that are probably better off, more efficient. So if they can come to us, kind of get the basis, like we'll give them resources to learn, and they can come to us to work in groups and build projects, work on research papers, do deep dives within the club. We think that's a lot more productive than just lecturing them every week.
No doubt. Are there any UT Austin accredited blockchain courses that students can take on campus?
Yeah, so myself and the previous president are actually the TAs, we're actually instructors for the class of one of the undergraduate blockchain courses. So essentially we teach a intro to blockchain and intro to money course. So we spend the first couple of weeks diving into like the theory of money, and then intro to Bitcoin, and then from there intro to other blockchain applications. I myself am not super technical. I'm trying to learn a little more computer science at the moment. So I take the half of the class that is on the non-technical side, and Armel, the previous president of Texas Blockchain, and a more technical student takes the technical courses. I think one of the, I'll say, downfalls, or not, maybe not a downfall, one of the things that could be done better is more communication, more organization, just between divisions of the school, because I know that there are more cryptocurrency, blockchain related courses offered at the campus that Julian and I, as the leaders of the club, just don't know about.
Jake, you mentioned that you're studying management information systems, and you're the founder of Spawn. So, it's two questions. One, how are you planning on bridging your studies with your Web3 aspirations? And also, tell us a bit more about Spawn as a nationwide Web3 student community.
Yeah, so I came up with the idea for Spawn almost a year ago now at this point, which is really crazy. It was around the time of South by Southwest, when I was getting involved with Web3 a little deeper. I was meeting a lot of people in the space, meeting a lot of professionals who were building companies in the space, and also meeting a lot of students who were learning about the space. Julian and I actually went to the MIT FinTech conference around this time last year, where we were meeting students from Northeastern, from Harvard, and from MIT, of course. And it was also around this time that I learned my dad actually worked in the Web3 space as well. My dad works as an advisor for companies in the space. So I was meeting a lot of companies, and they were saying, like, how do we get in touch with the students? How do we get in touch with these schools? And I was meeting all these students, and there was no central place for these students to be talking with each other and collaborating with each other. So with that in mind, I kind of took the next couple of months, and over the summer built out this idea of a nationwide community of students that we could build out and form. And essentially right now, what our goal is to become just a trusted community within Web3 for students in the space. We take a pretty similar approach to Texas Blockchain, where we're not really an educational platform. We're more of, we like to call ourselves like an accelerator because of the mentorship programs and building programs and research programs that we offer to our cohorts. And we also offer IRL events. We actually have our first IRL events co-hosted with Columbia Blockchain, Fordham Blockchain, and one other that I'm not remembering right now. You can check our page if you want to check that out. But essentially, the short-term goal is just to become a trusted community for students in Web3 in the next 1 to 2 years. And beyond that, become much more than just a community, be like a resource and the ultimate hub for students in the space. So that is really exciting. I've been spending a lot of time on Spawn. I think it has a huge opportunity ahead. And the way I am tying my studies to this, so management information systems is essentially the technical side of business is how they describe it. So I learn a little bit of computer science, a little bit of management, obviously information systems as well, kind of information technology. And I'm also taking a computer science certificate, which here in Texas, it's essentially like a little bit more than the minor, is what I would think of as a certificate. So I am trying to get a little bit more on the technical side. And I think where this comes into play is I have a team of 7 over at Spawn, and I think 3 of them are very technical, and they're working on projects that at the moment I just don't understand. I don't know how to lead them on these projects. And me not knowing the lingo, me not knowing what's feasible or not, is a hindrance in trying to get things done. So I'm relying on other people to manage these projects and complete the projects. So me understanding, I'm not doing these computer science courses to necessarily be a software developer in the future, more so just to understand myself what goes on behind the scenes in these technologies. And then obviously I still think the management side of things is very important. Because I don't see myself being a software developer. I think seeing the technical side of business as it relates to, the business side of things is super important. So sorry, that's kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but that's what Spawn is. That's what I've been working on. And just to wrap that all together now, like what I see Spawn becoming in the future is more than just a community. I see it being a true accelerator for students in the space, funding ambitious students, talented students building in the space. And I think what I'm studying right now does tie all of that together.
Yeah, I had a call with Arthur Rosenberg. I'm sure you're familiar.
Oh yes, he runs our Twitter. He does our marketing. He's awesome. Arthur, if you're here, what's up?
Yeah, I had a great discussion with him, and I really love what you guys are doing, what you guys have envisioned for Spawn. Have you guys ever connected with College DAO?
Yes, Joshua Sum, I believe, is one of the leaders there from Michigan. We actually co-hosted an event with College DAO in December. We did a holiday event over in New York. They're awesome. Definitely have similar missions, but there's never enough of these kind of things. I think one, it's great that we're all working on similar things, and 2, it proves that what we're building is likely needed. It's likely what students are looking for and companies are looking for if so many people are trying to solve this problem.
I think it's so cool. At this point, I've interviewed so many I've interviewed so many blockchain clubs and spoken to so many of the folks in each club's respective leadership. I think it's so cool that you guys are all connected and you guys go to conferences together. You guys co-host events. You guys have this stream of communication where you're bouncing ideas off each other and building this global or worldwide infrastructure that hopefully helps push this industry to the next level. We have Gen Z. I really do believe is going to be the next big wave of money adoption interest that flows in this industry. Jake, one last question for you before we move on to Julian. How did you go so long without recognizing that your dad works in Web3?
That is a great question. So before I left for school, I knew he was always an advisor for companies. I knew he was more in the music and entertainment industry before I left. And over, I guess, like from fall of 2021 and forward, from what I know now, is all these big players in music, all these big players in entertainment started asking, like, what are NFTs? How can NFTs be used in our fields? Because, this is like when the whole NFT boom was happening. And like there are a lot of companies right now that are working with musicians and artists in the space, seeing how NFTs and blockchain technology can bring more. I guess there's a lot of different ways that they could be doing that, but for the most part, what I see is that bring more like equitable financing structures to these musicians. I think that's one of the main ways that I see it playing out. So my dad was always working with musicians. He was always working in entertainment. And I come home Thanksgiving or so, I believe, and I start telling my dad what I'm doing with Texas blockchain and what I'm getting involved in. And he's like, "Oh, like I'm advising a couple of startups in this space." And I come home and in December, he's like, "Yeah, like I'm advising 6 or 7 startups in this space." I'm like, "Wow, like we got a lot in common here." So then, that is a huge resource. Like I can just one talk to him about the space, and two, he knows so many people in the space already, just in like on the music and entertainment side. So kind of a funny story there, but that's how it happened.
I think it's really cool. I don't know how many of us can actually relate to that and say, "Oh yeah, our dad also works in crypto," and we can talk.
It's awesome.
Talk about it together. Yeah, I bet. Okay, so Julian, I didn't catch what you're studying, but if you could remind me really quick what you're studying, and then also how you plan on bridging your studies with your Web3 aspirations.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm definitely shorter than Jake. I'm studying economics right now. I'm wanting to pursue CS. I take it the view that having a CS degree and knowing kind of all the technical ins and outs, like Jake said, not to be a software developer, but just even a founder within the tech space, you need to know a lot of the stuff. So definitely want to pursue CS and kind of delving in, and the links are pretty clear. CS at UT is great. You learn obviously many fundamental concepts around building applications. Even there's so much stuff to bridge in from web to traditional infrastructure. So yeah.
I'm not going to let you off that easy, Julian. So I have some questions.
Sure.
First of all, I love that you're wanting to explore CS, even if you don't want to be a developer. I studied economics in college, and I don't regret it, but I do kind of wish I did computer science. I've been thinking about more recently learning Solidity, just so not so I can be a developer, but just so I can have a better understanding of how things work on the back end, and it makes it so that I can have a better understanding of the entire industry as a whole and how things are built. So Jake also mentioned that he was trying to do the same thing. I think it's really smart of you guys to make that shift, or at least supplement your current studies with a little bit of technical background.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I've had experience with full stack. I spent a whole summer with full stack and learning all of that ins and outs. And I'm not saying that you can't not have a CS degree and be a software engineer or know the stuff. It's just, I think on my behalf, I'm taking the view that having a CS degree in the tech space goes a long way.
And Julian, what's the sentiment like towards Web3, towards crypto in South Africa versus the sentiment around your fellow students at UT Austin?
I kind of left South Africa. I left in 2021. There is some traction compared to countries within Africa or developing countries. I know I'm friends with the guys over at Onyx, OVX, and they've got quite a system there. The Coinbase kind of South Africa, and yeah, I think there's a lot of traction, but innovation is in America. To what I've seen, it really starts here, and you see a lot of growth and a lot of determination here. Not so much innovation there.
As an African, would you say that much of the continent is primed for sort of a leapfrog effect, that they could really benefit from Web3 and blockchain technology?
Yeah, definitely. Like the first use case of all of this is remittance. Like that's like the most simple use case of blockchain. You seeing family members having to work in different countries to support their families, but then having to go through banks and SWIFTs and 20% brokerage fees. Like for having them to be able to send funds back to their family in a secure manner instantly, that's a fundamental core application of blockchain as a public ledger. So yeah, definitely a lot of use case.
Great. And Julian, you also said you're the co-founder of Colix. I didn't
Carvex.
Carvex. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So that's a platform to bring transparency to voluntary carbon markets. So quite different to Jake and students and incubation, but it kind of happened in the same way at MIT when we were there over last year in March. I sat down next to who's my co-founder now, Supan Mehra. He's the founder of the largest climate advisory firm in India. And it's called IORA Ecological Solutions, and they've been working as a project developer in the voluntary carbon markets. If you don't know what that is, it's a market set out um, by in 2005 at the Paris Agreement to find ways to decarbonize, um, um, to remove carbon from the atmosphere, but for these people to be financially rewarded for that. And IORA has done 150 projects. They've worked in 27 different countries. They've supported 26 national climate policies, and they've been the leader in kind of climate change mitigation for the past 15 years in India. We then met, and as Srupan told me, all these issues around the infrastructure, around how project developers have to meet brokers that take a lot of fees, how they don't have transparent prices, so they don't know revenue. But being also a buyer, there's a lot of issues with double counting, and that's not taken into consideration. And the integrity of these credits, they're not valued as semi-fungible assets. So the attributes, credits are merged to find liquidity. So the liquidity issues come, and to kind of wrap it up in kind of all the issues it has, Supine came along and said, hey, blockchain can do a lot around this. We can introduce new automated market makers, which we're building out. We can have deposits, direct deposits at low fees. We can open funding, climate funding, up to individuals, to anyone, not only large corporates. We can verify emissions throughout a company. So there's a lot to do around there. And I, being into blockchain and wanting to add a positive contribution to the world through at scale through tech. I think that's kind of wraps around. I brought on two other sophomores from UT Austin, studying CS math and electrical computational engineering. And we're building it out. We're looking to launch within the next 3 to 4 months. And yeah, really exciting, and helping people who are supporting our climate. I think it's really, really a great initiative going towards our climate goals set by countries all around the world.
Well, listen, man, I couldn't agree more. I think it's such an inspirational project and such an inspirational campaign. I would love to have you come on and talk about it at some point once you guys are ready.
Appreciate it.
And Jake as well, I would love for you to come on and talk more about Spawn. We can do a one-on-one Twitter space. Get the word out there. What you guys are building is incredible. You guys are so involved in the industry, and you're way ahead of most most 22-year-olds I talk to on a day-to-day basis outside of the industry. I mean, I've been really impressed by all the students that have come on our podium. I noticed a tweet by Sri. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name, so I'm going to mess it up. But it says, in a bear market, Texas Blockchain Labs quadrupled our engineering cohort size. I'm absolutely amazed. What is it about your club that has helped achieve that? Because a lot of clubs I speak to, they're still growing, they're still going strong, but the amount of interest has actually dwindled during the bear market. What do you think makes you guys different?
Yeah, I mean, I can hit on that first.
Yeah,
I honestly think it's just like, as cliche as it is, like good vibes, fun times. Like, people don't want to just come to a meeting and just put their heads down and start doing work and just not have fun. Like, we try and make the meetings and their socials as fun as possible. Just make it like a cool and fun community that people want to spend time with. I think that's one of the main things. Like, yes, we are all about exploring the space on a deeper technological level and exploring it in every other facet through our research team. But I also think we spend the first 20 minutes of every single general meeting. It's just come, grab dinner, and network for the first 20, 25 minutes of every single general meeting. I think that's a big factor in everything we do. Just bringing a lot of cool people, putting them in the same room, and inevitably cool things will happen.
Yeah, I agree with Jake. Definitely, that's something we really focus on. I also think just because with the introduction of our labs and the other divisions, especially relating to the labs, there's a lot of structure. Students come in, they know what they're getting out of their time. And I think just for me, going into a club as a member, that's something that I really value. We're very forward, and there's a lot of opportunities. We have a lot of partners that we've partnered up with and we are going to partner with that provide our students a lot of opportunities, and word goes around. So we're just trying to grow humbly and see how it goes.
So, what's the sentiment like amongst the greater UT Austin student base towards Web3? Everyday friends, everyday folks that aren't part of the club, what do they feel about this industry, especially with all the things that have happened over the last year?
It's a good question. I would say there are a lot of people. Actually, to give a very concrete example, I was in class last week. This is almost like every week this happens. And my professor makes a very distinct point to call out that crypto is a scam and people should not be touching it. I have this class 3 times a week, probably at least once a week for the last month and a half or so. Like it is really crazy that he just kind of makes like a 3 to 5 minute point once a week about why people shouldn't be investing in this scam industry that they call crypto. He doesn't give any reason to back it up. He just starts spewing what he's heard on the news and what Sam Bankman-Fried has done, which obviously, as we know, is not representative of, or mostly not representative of the space as a whole. So within the school, like, there's definitely teachers that are along that same line. But in the same light, I also am in many technology classes where the teachers are very open to technology, where the professors just objectively state the facts of the space and what the possibilities are and leave it open-ended for students to think about, which I think is really great. Regarding my friends and everything, I definitely get a text every once in a while from a relative or a family member that says like, "Hey, you hanging in there? How's everything going?" It's kind of funny. But friends, like people our age, I think they see it as like a really big opportunity. And for the most part, I'm going to say that most people our age just wish they knew more about the space.
Yeah, I think just to add on that, especially during a bear, unless you're very active within the space or building something or actively researching and taking the initiative on your own end, there isn't much talk around it. But obviously, guys are still checking prices and a lot of speculation around that. But we're really focusing on, hey, let's focus on building.
I love it. And I think that last point, Jake, that you made is what kind of separates, even from my anecdotal experience, Gen Z from millennials, is that curiosity. I feel like this isn't as present in my circles, friends outside of the industry. They just don't really care. And I do get those texts from time to time. Hey, you hanging in there? And everyone has that one person, and in your case, a professor that this is like angry men yelling at crypto, but they don't really know why they hate it or even make fair points. I mean, I can sometimes, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, argue against certain crypto assets and why I don't believe in them. But generally speaking, people that just hate for no reason, it's cool that you guys have professors on campus that are advocates as well, because I think it's really important for students to hear it from the leadership at UT Austin. Guys, for the last part of the space, I like to have a little bit of fun. And I just want to preface this always with not financial advice. Just it's fun to speculate, and I want to get to know a little bit more about you guys and what how you feel towards certain assets in the industry and certain sectors of the industry. So, without further ado, Bitcoin. Let's start with the OG. What are your thoughts of Bitcoin, and what do you think is going to happen when the industry grows? You think Bitcoin is going to get flipped by an Ethereum? Give us your thoughts. Let's start with Jake.
Yeah, so definitely one of the things that I've tried to learn about most is Bitcoin. I find like the history of money incredibly fascinating. That's like one of the main things I try and teach about in the course that I teach for UT. It's just like, I mean, there are different theories about how money got started, whether it was in London or whether it was in China, whether it started in like warehouses or whether it started with goldsmiths. I don't know if there's finality with that. If there is, then feel someone please step in and correct me. But from what I've learned is that there is some debate around that. And one of the main, like, I guess just one of the main things that I've learned in that journey is like gold took over 400 years for people to like start adopting as currency. But before that, like, I think one of the main things that fascinates me is that like a, a long, long time ago, when barter was the main form of transacting value, like people were trading apples for cows and corn and cobs of corn for fixing your toilet. And like when I can't imagine what the switch was when people started going from commodity money. So like in terms of like these are things that people can eat, people can utilize to preserve life or extend life, to non-commodity money, such as rocks and stones and pebbles, things that people can't inherently use to extend or enhance their life. Like imagine someone wants to start trading you some rocks for these apples that will feed your family and extend your life. Like I can't imagine the barrier behind that, and I think that plays really well into like, or just gives some really great context into what we're seeing today. I mean, Bitcoin, the white paper was released in 2008. It's been 15 years since it was released, which is really, really nothing in the grand scheme of things. So obviously, you can go down the whole rabbit hole of, okay, this is when the final Bitcoin will be released. At that point, where are these transaction fees coming from? What is incentivizing the miners? And you can go down that whole rabbit hole. And I think like Bitcoin doesn't need to be the form of money for the rest of time to be successful. If it could just act as a store of value for some people at this point in time, if it can help people do cross-border transactions for now, like if it can be a means to help people in their daily life right now, I think that's all it needs to be qualified as a success. Like I don't think it needs to hit this mass adoption that everyone is fighting for. And I definitely don't have any price predictions. Am I bullish on Bitcoin? Yes. Are there other things that I'm maybe a little more bullish on? Probably. With that in mind, like I'm not investing all my money in crypto as we see it right now, just because I think maybe the greatest innovation that we will see in this space has yet to even been talked about, has yet to be developed. I think that, sorry to drag this on, but I think what I get this question a lot of, like, what excites you in the space? What about Web3 is like motivating to you? And to be honest, like I never have a great answer because I think it's like the unknown. This is cliche, but like it's the unknown that is exciting in the fact that there are so many ideas that people have and how they can implement this blockchain technology into facets of life that just have not been explored yet, beyond finance, beyond music, beyond what we know today. So sorry for that drawn out answer, but that's my view on that right now.
No, that was great. And I mean, I think we're seeing the trajectory play out. We started with kind of primitive forms of bartering and then move on to precious metals, and we had like fiat backed by gold, and then fiat backed by government. And ultimately, as our lives become more and more software based, we need a software based asset, which is decentralized and has a cap and all the good stuff that Bitcoin is. And so I'd be curious to see what the next step in that evolution is going to be, Jake. And I think I'd agree with you. I think we haven't seen the next big thing, and we'll sit tight and see when that comes. Julian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely also, as Jake, not one to give price predictions. Do I think it has potential to go back and reach certain levels? Yes, as the market grows and traction's gained and more utilities there. But I think the initial question was, will ETH flip Bitcoin? I think ETH's utility and what's being built out via EVM compatibility, going through to the layer 2 sphere and all these applications, I think it has a good chance. I think especially over the timelines Jake's mentioning, I think it will. So yeah.
I interviewed, and I was going to ask you guys about ETH as well, but I think I have a general idea of what your sentiment and feelings are towards it. I interviewed another student. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I said, if you could, what are you DCing into right now into this in this bear market? And he was like, oh, I don't have any. I'm a student. I don't have much money to DCA. It's like, okay, well, pretend I gave you $100,000. So let's start with Julian this time. Julian, pretend I gave you $100,000 and you could only invest it in crypto. What would you DCA into?
I definitely think what Polygon is doing is great. I definitely think what Near is doing is great. A lot of these layer ones, I think, is a good bet, especially because, as Jake said, new applications are going to come and go. The application layer, I don't think, has found its kind of true players. So I think it's kind of as a major allocation, as a safe kind of bet, is go with these layer one protocols who have shown a lot of traction. Solana's great. I'm a university ambassador for them. And I think anything that you have found interest in, I think it's less of, I don't know, this is just for me, I'm sure it's the same for Jake. It's more of, hey, who do you personally kind of understand and see from that level of the company? It's way less of speculation. It's more kind of looking at teams, looking at how they run. That would kind of see our decision. So there's a lot of cool stuff. I'm obviously bullish on what's going to happen in the refi space. I think there's great initiatives over there. I think zero knowledge proofs are great. So layer ones that are doing those, I think that's awesome. So yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of verticals around there.
So I would probably take a little bit of a different approach. While I agree that like the foundational layer is bound to change. I wish I was in the space in 2016, 2017. I wish I was in it earlier. But from what I've talked about with people that were in the space that long ago, is that like there was a completely different top 100 at that point than there is now. So I think to try and like just speculate as to what will be lasting in the next wave may just cause more stress than good that it would cause. So I would probably just take the 100K and try and invest it in like random gaming coins and random coins that I think have the opportunity to 300x or more. That's probably I'll probably listen back to this in a couple of years and be like, wow, I wish I said this and then actually did it. But I tried doing the trading thing for a while and was never very successful at it. So kind of just took a longer term approach that if you can actually build something meaningful, then it'll pay off way more dividends than trying to find the next 100,000x ever could. Or well, yeah, maybe actually not. Maybe the 100,000x may be pretty beneficial, but I hope I got my point across.
Yeah, I think the better answer on behalf of us is that we'll take 100 grand and go invest in ourselves. Go invest in what we're doing.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's better.
That's why I said you had to invest it in crypto. But I know I get what you guys are saying. And what I will say, Jake, is that yes, in 2017 the top 100 was very much different than what you see today. Apart from like Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'm not even counting Tether, but I'm just looking at the top 100. And I will say the difference is the top 100 today. There is actual utility to a lot of it, and how much utility can be debated and argued for days. But it's a bit different this time. The top 100. However, you are very young and you have a very long time horizon, so you should be more risky. And I love the idea of trying to ape on different Web3 gaming tokens and metaverse tokens. I think it's a lot of fun. My next question, guys, and maybe Jake already alluded to this, but which sectors of the industry excite you the most? What do you think is going to kind of blow up and even decouple from Bitcoin because it's going to provide people so much utility so quick? Let's go with Jake first.
I have a lot of exciting conversations with people about this, and there are people that start telling me like the NFT. Sorry about that. There are a lot of people that start telling me like the use cases of NFTs that we just don't see today. Like obviously NFTs get a bad rep for like the JPEG that they are today and the lack of utility that they actually have for the amount of money people are investing in them. But one of the things that was super interesting that someone told me one time was the fact that like NFTs can start be using as cookies, and that's how people can start owning the data when they're surfing the web. This kind of plays into the whole idea of people getting paid for the websites they click, people paying for each website they go on, which maybe that's not a future that I want to be living in, but it's an interesting idea. When it comes to like larger overarching industries, I do think that entertainment, maybe this is just biased from talking with my dad a lot, entertainment ticketing it is huge. From the problems that I've seen that need to be solved with the ticketing industry, I mean, like we were all just it's tough because like you look at this the whole thing that just happened with Taylor Swift and you see this platform going down and you could start saying, well, like if it was on a decentralized platform, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But then again, maybe it would have. It depends what blockchain it was built on. Maybe this blockchain is not meant to handle such high transaction amounts. Maybe it doesn't have a high TPS. Like I think there are use cases for blockchain. I think again, like you said, I alluded to, it's probably stuff we haven't seen yet. Is ticketing a good use case for blockchain? I don't know. It hasn't been implemented to where it's common every day for people to be using it. So I don't know. I guess that wasn't really a great answer, but that kind of just goes back to what I was saying before, and that the use case that I think will be most beneficial or changing is yet to be seen.
I think on my end, yeah, I think there's some great innovation that's currently happening that has some great links. I think stuff that's really fundamental. Obviously, I like fundamental stuff. I think I'd be stupid not to say refi and what's happening with the push for sustainability with my startup. But in other spheres, I think identity management is an important vertical. I think, as I said, zero knowledge proofs is important. Um, I think I think a lot of applications, like there's great applications you got around gaming, you got it around layer two layer two layers twos, and I think if we look at the application layer, I think more utility at an institutional level, I think will bring a lot of trust. And I think stuff like identity management, zero knowledge proof, these are technologies that have so many applications and so many verticals to be applied to. And don't get me wrong, I think ticketing and I think all these face front value type applications have legs to go. I just think the more fundamental parts that have yet to be implemented are crucial going forward.
Guys, it's been a great space. I really enjoyed talking to both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, Noah. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, anytime. And as I mentioned, if you guys want to come back and talk about your individual projects, you're always welcome. Is there anything that I didn't ask about or we didn't cover that you guys are interested in sharing with us?
No, I think we covered a lot. I think if anyone listening wants to go check out Texas Blockchain, I'm sure we'll link in the text. We've got ourselves tagged to go check our websites. Everything's in the link tree. And yeah, shoot us a message if you're interested. And we'd love to discuss. We're very open.
Yeah, and like thank you guys for giving us this platform to chat. It was a really awesome conversation, and nothing more than what Julian said. Like we have our Texas Blockchain account tagged, our startups tagged. So just a great conversation, and we appreciate you guys giving us the platform.
Yeah, really had fun, and we'll do it soon again.
Absolutely. Jake, Julian, it's been a pleasure. You guys are doing amazing things. You guys have a bright future ahead of you. Whale Coin Talk community, thank you so much for joining this evening. This has been an action-packed day full of spaces, and this is a great one to cap off the night. Remember that everything that you hear on these broadcasts is meant for educational purposes only. Nothing is financial.